Hello everyone and welcome to this new CATIA Design Talk, the webinar series where we explore the latest trend, tools and techniques in industrial design and engineering using CATIA, the world-leading software for product development and innovation. My name is Fabio Ballari and I have the pleasure of hosting today Michael REITER, Peter KOEHLER, Almut BAUER and virtually Stephan RITZ from R&D Portfolio. Hello guys.
Hello.
Hello.
So together we will present you the new updates for the 2024 X release for CATIA Design and especially for virtual reality and product experience and share all the new capabilities of this release. So first of all, can you please introduce yourself? Ladies first.
Hello, my name is Almut BAUER. I'm working for CATIA Design. I'm in charge of the product experience portfolio with a main focus on CATIA Live Rendering and all topics related to product visualization.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael REITER and I'm the responsible product manager for AR and VR on 3D Experience CATIA.
Hello, I'm Peter KOEHLER and I'm a portfolio technical engineer for the 3D rendering preparation app.
Great. So we can start the replay of the masterclass What's New in 2024 X, but please stay until the end because our expert, Almut, Michael, and Peter, will answer to all your technical questions. So let's see CATIA in action.
What's new for the V+R Product Experience discipline on the release R2024X Golden? Let's take a look now on the first technology, integrated precise visualization. This is enabled in our portfolio with the application CATIA Live Rendering, which is there to create a realistic virtual twin with precise materials and other attributes for collaboration and decisions inside the CATIA 3D design applications. So for the release 24X, we have three pillars that we improve for this application. First of all, the user experience. And here with a special focus on color and trim and UV mapping. The second pillar is about realistic rendering. So we improve the rendering efficiency by better management of precise renderings in the process. And the third pillar is about improving the workflow with a lot of improvements on features as well as performance. And all of this is introduced to you now by Almut BAUER.
Hi. We have drastically improved our user experience with interface cleanups according to chosen mapping types. Users rely on accurate texture dimension, so what you see is what you get. Intuitive and consistent workflow on mapping to accelerate on color and trim use cases. The referenced mapping section directly available here. In the application mapping, we are here in the UV space. We have a clear demonstration whether operation is in world space coordinates or in UV space. Manipulating values in panel or in 3D with the manipulator. It's a standard robot, so we can manipulate here or use the ruler to type in precise values. We can reset to default and in the fit to object mode, scaling the texture to match the bounding box of the currently selected part. To adjust the scale with a physical world size reference in millimeters. We see in the interface, it's in millimeters now. In the geometry UV mapping type, we can follow the explicit unwrapping of the shape by sliding with the inner disk of the robot along the surface for accurate positioning of the texture. With well-chosen step sizes, we can also use the scroll wheel of our mouse. For imported geometry, we are offering normalized UVs to the 0-1 space. About our rendering efficiency, we are providing automation through adaptive importing sampling, publishing render outputs to the database, and consistent material IDs along the post-production pipeline in design and engineering. So let's be organized to communicate render outputs. I'm rendering a beauty and a material ID path with quality threshold selected. This is providing me the benefit of adaptive importance sampling with a better time to quality for our results. I'm transferring the data, rendering it to disk. And on the right-click contextual menu, we have in preview, so we can pre-check our results if we want to upload to database. Then we can access the production folder, now also already while jobs are still progressing, and the publish production. So clicking this command here, we are publishing our production to the active collaborative space attached to the root product. We see the icon, it's uploading, and once it's done, I can change. So users always know if the job has already been uploaded or not. And we can shut down the server directly from this monitor page now. We have also worked on workflow acceleration, improve performances, skip delay times. We have faster loading and unloading of scenes with large textures, large assemblies, meaning we have multiple instances, faster opening, and also the addition in material editor is much faster. We can see it on the graph on the right side. So we clearly see our enhancements through the releases. Some actions are even instant, like opening the texture chooser or removing other textures. Also on HDR light baking, we have improved, same for dynamic downsampling during GI. Here the example. With dynamic blending, the user can define whether to navigate in rasterizer or in GI. With GI chosen during navigation, user can further decide based on hardware, model, and its performance to adjust the resolution dynamically for better interaction with the model while staying in full screen. This provides the best compromise between performance and quality.
So CATIA Live Rendering, with all of the great improvements, is embedded into the role Visual Experience Designer. But it's also embedded into the specialized industry roles for experts to enable collaboration and decision-making. And on top, it's integrated into our role Product Design Presenter. This role builds a bridge between visualization and decision-making. And it's improved for this new release with a new application called CATIA 3D Rendering Preparation. This application provides the capabilities to quickly prepare CAD geometries for material application and high-end visualization. It enables use cases like, for instance, unwrapping of complex surfaces, also the isolation and separation of surfaces. It helps color and trim designers to create material splits, or people to fix geometry-related visual artifacts, like, for instance, set fighting. For this, we have integrated a specific functional scope in these applications with dedicated features. These features, together with their impact on the use cases, are now introduced to you by Peter KOEHLER.
Thank you, Stephan. So as Stephan already mentioned, the application focuses on unwrapping. So I will show some use cases or some scenarios how we can do that, but also features some other smaller tools to quickly fix some visualization artifacts. And also that is shown in the video we have on the next slide. So we have a very simple scenario with still complex geometry. This scenario works in, let's say, 80% of the cases. And here we can use the multi-extract feature that we have in our application packaged together with the powerful propagation to, with one click, simply automatically separate the front-facing, customer-facing faces from the backside of a part that we do not need to unwrap. So we have now a clear separation with one simple command, and we can then run the unwrap command with no further settings, and we get a nice low distorted and uniform unwrap. In a bit more complex scenario with more complex geometry, for example, this dashboard here, where this propagation does not give the expected results, We can assist this command by quickly manually selecting a loop of faces where we want the geometry to be split. So this can be rough. It's just that we generate a break for the tangent community. So as shown here. So we create a loop of faces around where we want to split the geometry. And when we've done that, we can again run the multi-extract and do the same thing that we did before with the door. We can then choose the upper part and again use the tangent community to create a powerful propagation. So we've seen here we have split just the edges out of it. Now we can separate it again and we get a perfect separation of the front faces. So now we want to get the back faces again. So we can now run the unwrap. So we see nice clean unwrap of the upper surfaces. We still want the back faces back because we want to render them as well. So we need to split them, or we need to split the front faces apart from it. We can use the boundary feature that we have also packaged as well as the split feature. We can use the boundary we just created to split the original geometry exactly at this boundary. And then we have a nice separation of front and back, visualized here in green and purple. And we can now also render this in ray tracing in Stellar because we have no duplicated geometries. And now what I call the worst case scenario is both closed but also convex geometry, for example, rims or here a steering wheel. And we repeat the first step of what we did with the dashboard. So quickly and roughly separate a loop of faces that we want to cut away or that we want to separate. So here it's 3 parts around where the steering wheel is attached. That is not customer facing, that we do not need to unwrap. We invert the selection. Now again, we extract with tangent community customer facing faces, hide the rest. So we just have the beautiful faces you want to unwrap. If we now do an unwrap, we see we still have heavy distortions because it's a convex shape. So what we can do is split the geometry in 2, in the front and the back face. Again, we have edge filters and again the multi-extract, which helps us again with tangent community to have quickly selected all the loops that we want to select. So we have an automatic complementary selection of faces and we can, or edges, sorry, and we can select the missing edges. And within a minute, we have a nice edge loop that we can use again to split our geometry in 2. So here we can switch between front and back. We duplicate it and invert it. So we also have the back faces of that. And these both we can now unwrap individually. We're doing it for the front side. We see the result is now much better, but still not optimal. We still have minor distortions. We see the difference in scale. But here we can simply use the curves to tier functionality of our unwrapping command. Just set a tiering curve at the very top. And now we see we get a perfect aligned UV unwrapping that we can use for our distortionless material visualization. And now we're just repeating with the boundary and the splitting to get the back faces back. And we can see we can nicely render that in Stellar without any distortions. Another scenario or use case of this application is material splits. So a basic example is we have supplier data, for example, from a tail lamp, and we want to visualize the LEDs, but we do not have an own feature just for the dots of the LEDs. So again, we can simply use the multi-extract feature, duplicate it, invert it, and so quickly separate single geometries for our material application. So we can see we can just apply a glow material just on the dots of the LEDs. And speaking of emissive materials, in Stellar, it's important that our normals are aligned in the right direction. So here's an example. We see the LEDs are black because they are inverted. We also have the orientation inversion feature here, where we can quickly fix exactly those issues. And last but not least, so-called set fighting visualization rendering artifact. If we have connecting faces, usually the way things are modeled. A physical renderer cannot cope with it because we get so-called set fighting artifacts. So the renderer does not know which surface to render in which direction. So here we have an offset feature, and we can simply assign a very small offset to one of those faces to fix exactly these kind of artifacts. And we see we can now ray trace it without any artifacts. And that's it for this new application.
We have seen now all the great improvements in the role product design presenter in terms of integrated precise visualization. But as introduced before, the role is facilitating also visual decisions. And the core applications for visual decision making in the CATIA design processes is CATIA Product Perception Experience. The application is improved in 3 different pillars with the release 2020 for X-Golden. First of all, we have a more versatile variant management, for instance, with direct access to variant properties. For the second big block, we enable now complex review scenarios also for VR by an improvement on slideshows, but also on animation management. Following the tradition of the application, we have once more improved usability and workflow. This all is now introduced to you by Manuel DUCHET.
Starting with variant management, you will have a new properties command for each type of variant that will give you the list and the detailed definition of the variant, like the list of objects participating to the variant, product, position variant. If a position variant, it's an animated one, you have also an option to control the smooth effect of the animation. Material variant, what material to what actors. Human variant, the list of human and also the smooth effect animation. We go on with viewpoint variants. This is already available since 23X FD03, the complete list of camera parameters. Environment variants, the possibility to replace the ambience. And finally, for stage variants, the list of variants it activates with a reminder of where the variant is found. In what panel, what lines the variant activated by a stage is listed. There are some other features like additional shortcut commands that we have added to the variant panel user interface so that you can more quickly reach existing libraries of assets and existing data from a search results. So this for existing cameras, materials, ambiances, and humans. So with that, you should do less mouse kilometers, less mouse miles. Maybe you can even hide the action bar to have a wider 3D area. The next big series of topic is about animation control. With first a simple option to play the slideshow of a variant line just once to stop the loop mode. And regarding the slideshow of a variant line, also the possibility to activate it with a trigger object or a hotkey. This will be pretty useful, we believe, for VR reviews when you want to play a series of animation, like here a line of position variant. And while the series of animation is playing, you can still navigate or activate some other variants. So, yes, 2 enhancements regarding the play of slideshow of a variant line. Another one is the possibility for existing animation, kinematics, physics, human, to stop it at a given step. You get a simulation result to replay. Maybe it's too long, you just want the first part of it, like here, just folding the screen, not showing the whole animation. You are autonomous, you don't need to go back and check with your engineering colleagues to redo a simulation. You can have this greater control on existing animation you insert in your design presentation. The last series of enhancements is about usability and workflow. You create more and more stages. So now you will have the possibility to quickly distinguish between different stage lines thanks to different colors. So if you have a line of stages for interior packages, one for exterior packages, maybe another one for the experience, the usage of your design, each of the stage line will have a different colors. And as always, now the variant it activates are in dotted lines. But because you have also more and more panels in your perception experiences, we have changed the default panel size, decreasing it by 20%. Pretty simple, but we noticed that this, what you were doing, going to the preferencing, setting the size to 80%, this will be the new default size. So we hope that with this, you will create even more advanced design presentation.
Thank you, Manuel. Stephan?
Beside all the great improvements that Manuel just has shown to us, there's another remarkable trend for the application product perception experience that I want to highlight, because it's becoming more and more the one-stop shop for intuitive visual decisions in product development. Why? Because it supports so many different variants for the decision-making processes that the people and the different stakeholders have a very good tool to have an efficient decision setup. But we have more variant types that are supported by this application, and I want to highlight here two variant types. First, the Delmia manufacturing animations, which enable us to bring in robotic animations in the discussion, in the decision-making process, like you see here on the left. Then the second animation type is a CATIA scanner driving animation that you can see here. We can bring in a CATIA scanner scenario over the physics results into our decision-making process directly in product perception experience and have a very, very versatile setup, even for scenariization. After we have seen the great improvements for integrated precise visualization and intuitive visual decision experiences, now let's take a look on what we improve for mixed reality with this release. In the past, we were already introducing that we work on the integration of OpenXR for these enablers. Now we have reached a very good level and we benefit from this integration of the open interface. The first improvement that we can show and highlight for the R2024X release is the support of the Varjo XR3 device with its mixed reality capabilities. This is now introduced to you by Michael REITER.
Yes, so with 24X GA as well as 23X FT04, we're finally bringing the Varjo XR3 mixed reality integration. So you will have access to the compositing, as you see here, as well as the hand occlusion feature to enable people to get a better understanding of the ergonomics of their product. And we will follow up on that with a finger tracking integration in the future. So for now, you have this available in the generic HMD command, not yet in application-specific commands like PPX VR, human incarnation, etc. But that's also on our list.
Thanks a lot, Michael. This is finalizing our presentation on what's new in the R2024X Golden Release for V+R Product Experiences in CATIA Design.
It's now time to open the Q&A session. During this time, you can type your question in the comment tab and we will answer to them. Okay, there is one question coming. What is the difference between UV mapping and UV unwrapping?
I'll answer that. So thank you. Good question. This is often confused. So UV mapping is actually a material property, and you can think of it as a projection from 2D, from a 2D texture or 2D material onto a 3D geometry. We have different methods to do so. For example, basic mappings like a cubic mapping for everything that is more or less shaped like a box, or spherical mappings for anything that is more round, cylindrical mapping, and so on and so forth. You could also use the results of UV unwrapping to do a very precise and distortion-free mapping. And UV unwrapping is a geometry property. So it's done per geometry, as we have seen in the video before. And it's, on the contrary, it's a projection from 3D onto a 2D plane. So you take the 3D surfaces of a geometry and try to unwrap and flatten it onto a 2D plane, so you can map textures and materials with very minimized distortions and so on onto this plane.
All right, thank you for your answer. Speaking of animation, is it possible to have light animation influence the interior and exterior in an interactive manner?
I think there's also a follow-up from the same user a bit down where he gives more details on animated indirect lights inside of a car to check how the light wraps over surfaces and how it looks in different environments.
So currently, this is not yet possible in PPX to animate lights and light related features, but it's a plan to do so, being able to do so in the future. So that will be possible in the future for sure.
All right, thank you. Can you give us some insight for upcoming updates in this year?
Maybe I can start for the VR domain. So we've already mentioned that we now brought the Vario XR3 mixed reality support for the generic HMD command. We will continue there in the future to also integrate those capabilities in native application commands like PPX VR and others. And also with the next update that's going to be available over the weekend, I believe, we'll extend our device coverage for, well, more portable headsets as well. So examples would be the HTC Vive Focus 3, Vive XR Elite, or Meta Quest 3, which will then also be supported through OpenXR for the generic VR command first.
All right.
I can also talk a bit about live rendering. We are further focusing on performances, also on GPU accelerated ray trace features for real time. Also skipping delay times when being in the workflow, and also improving the user experience for the batch rendering.
Okay, thank you. Any other question? Don't be shy. Take benefit of this moment. Which HMD models are you supporting?
Well, as of now, we support the HTC Vive Pro 2 and the predecessors of that, so the Vive Pro and the Vive Business Edition as well. Then the Vive Pro I, without taking benefit of the eye trackers though. And for use cases with a higher need in terms of visual quality, we have the Varjo VR3, XR3, and Aero supported. And we also do support Windows mixed reality headsets, although with a limited feature set.
Okay. I see question coming back to the light topic. When you are talking about coming updates, does it cover standard light object or also emissive materials and image sequences?
Yes, so talking about lights, we have a dedicated portfolio coming up, especially for everything related to light validation. So there will be more in the future, starting with 25X, where we have the first offering for really rendering and also dealing with lights. And this includes, of course, local lights, calibrated ambience lights, but as well emissive materials.
Yeah, thank you for these questions. Maybe one more. Okay, if there is thanks a lot for the answer. I need to know, please, about the domain VR. More need I learn how, where, when? So I think the best place to learn those capabilities are in our CATIA creative design and styling community, right? Do you have any specific materials for this in the community?
There's also a companion course on the VR stuff.
Okay. Okay.
And yeah, besides from that, there's specifically for product perception experience VR topics and also for the human topics, I think there should be plenty of materials on our YouTube channels as well, created from the domain experts directly. And if that's not sufficient, then sure, head over to the communities, ask your questions there.
Yeah, so yeah, you can always ask questions on the CATIA creative design and styling community, also in the CATIA user community, but better for this topic, that one. All right, so I think it's time to conclude. Thank you for joining us today for this CATIA Design Talk. A special thank you to our experts for their masterclass presentation and their insightful answer. We hope you find this webinar informative and engaging and inspire you exploring new possibilities in industrial design thanks to CATIA and the VR Product Experience app. Remember, you can watch the replay of this talk as well as the full masterclass replay in our CATIA Creative Design and Styling community. Those links appear at the bottom of the screen, and continue the conversation with Peter, Mike, Michael, and Almut, and other experts. Simply register to the community and gain access to all our insight and best practices, and it's free. We appreciate your participation and feedback. We look forward to seeing you again at our next CATIA Design Talk. And until then, have a great day and keep innovating with CATIA. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.